Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Wednesday, 22nd of April, or Hump Day, as some like to call it. It's the slap dab middle of the week. And welcome to Pep Talks in the Morning. My name is Felicia Holder, the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and your host of Pep Talks in the Morning every Monday to Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Every day that we do this show, we have a brand new panel joining us. And today we have on live on air with you, Matthew Gibbs, who is the leader of our Central Hub. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, everyone. How are you all today? Hope everybody's fine.
Fair to find. Yes, it's the middle of the week, so we're much closer to the weekend. The 2 days that I get to try and relax, but not so much. And joining us on the phone and hopefully soon by video because he is having some internet problems and hopefully that does not plague us all today is our deputy political leader, one of our two deputy political leaders, Mr. Anthony Defour. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you, Anthony.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, Matthew. Good morning, Peppers, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. And yes, I am having horrible internet connection. And again, just to throw out there, and I will throw the ball into the mix one time, the inefficiencies of the system in itself and the bodies that are there are supposed to be there to oversee, to ensure the actual customers or the citizens get their money's worth for what they're paying. There's like water sending you dirty water for half the month, and you still had to pay a normal water bill at the end of that time when they send their billing to you. This is something that definitely we need to work on and stop.
Most definitely. And I think for anybody who would have been watching the program following us, there are some days that we seem to have really good connection, and then there seem to be some days that we have much terrible connection. It is a frustrating thing to power through for 2 hours with a spotty internet connection. But we're that committed to bringing this show to you, that committed to getting the information out. So for the service providers who are watching, who may be watching, who I constantly call and bring my issue of my terrible internet connection to, please get it sorted out because
Yes.
we are all home. I understand that there's a lot of traffic jamming the lines, etc. But this is why I pay to upgrade my service. This is why we are paying for a service to get the service that we are paying for. And if we're not getting that service, kind of refund the people the money that that is owed to them, seeing they getting substandard service. In my humble
Well,
opinion.
I just want to throw another two cents into the mix and I put in digital on notice. This weekend should definitely, there will be one of the days out of the Saturday and Sunday for the PEP weekend review that we are going to be launching on coming this Saturday. I'm putting digital on notice because I am dealing with a direct situation personally in this environment of this quarantining time that the state has put onto the people. But to just show how the corporate sector and there's just not proper protocol dealing with the situation at hand because I am posed with a situation where I having my services be cut because again saying that the period is due and they are stopping the service and I am saying that if you have the state that is closing everything down and sending everyone home and no money can be made across the board, how is it their entities in Trinidad and Tobago being able to pressure the citizens in making payments in a time where no money is being generated whatsoever across the board? And this is not something that was done that I choose or citizens choose not to go to work or to stay home and and quarantine themselves. This is something that the state has indicated that is mandatory for us to do. So again, where are the proper protocols and procedures in which the population, both private, public, citizenry, corporate, business person, whoever, where are the policies and protocols for us to operate in this environment? That is the question I pose right now because it's making no sense with this entire situation. I know, Felicia, we're jumping into the whole economics of Trinidad and Tobago, and that's a perfect subject for
You
us to
got
dive into
very
today.
quiet, Anthony.
What's that?
Oh no, I was saying you got very quiet, but it's back now.
No, what I was saying is that I know that we are discussing the economics of Trinidad and Tobago and the future outlook for us on today's show, and that is a perfect topic for us to discuss
It is, and it is
because
the perfect segue into the first topic of the day, which is the economic outlook right now, or the economy right now. Not so much the outlook. We will move into the outlook soon, but speaking of the economic outlook, there's a report by the Inter-American Development Bank that I pulled up just a couple minutes before the show. It was a report that was released not 4 days ago. Yes, about 4 days ago, Saturday, the 18th of April. And the report spoke about unprecedented consequences to COVID-19. And if you're just joining us, please share the live video. I am reading from the page. So normally I would sit down and share the live in all of the groups myself. So today I'm recruiting you to do the job. Share it on your live, share it in your groups, share it on the pep pages, share it to your friends, share it in your WhatsApp circles. The link should be out there. Please help us share the live. So I was reading this report by the Inter-American Development Bank, and I mean, similarly to the IMF, they are predicting a lot of economic, well, not a lot of, well, globally, they're predicting economic downturn, which unfortunately is a result of what we are experiencing right now with COVID-19. And in here, in particular, in the Caribbean, and speaking specifically to Trinidad and Tobago, they're speaking of the unprecedented downturn in terms of sectors like tourism, manufacturing, construction, hospitality, etc. And
yeah,
I mean, again, this is what we predicted, this is what we anticipated with the COVID-19 um, pandemic that has hit and impacted not just us here in Trinidad and Tobago, but the entire world.
globally,
But
yeah.
there's one particular portion of this article that stuck out to me. I mean, like I said, I anticipated that we were going to severely contract in terms of our economy. We all knew that we weren't doing too well to begin with. However, there's a paragraph that I said stuck out to me, which is that, and this is the paragraph begins. The report, however, and this is the IDB report, highlighted the government's measures, as in Trinidad and Tobago's government measures, including accelerated VAT and income tax returns, temporary deferral of loans and mortgage payments, distribution of food cards, a salary relief grant for the unemployed, rental assistance, financial assistance for credit unions to stimulate lending, and a grant for affected hoteliers in Tobago. And
Hmm.
I highlighted this because I believe it was one of those European countries last month, somebody, not last month, last week or 2 weeks ago, that actually highlighted Trinidad and Tobago in terms of our COVID-19 response. And it's not the first article that I have read or the first I've heard us being applauded for our response to COVID-19. And I mean, the first time I heard
Propaganda.
it, we getting there. The first time I heard it, I brushed it off and I said, but the thing is, it came from a credible and reputable source. And the second time I heard it, I was like, okay. And then this is the third time, I believe, this report from the IDB that is highlighting the measures that are taken by the government uh, to, I guess, mitigate the impact, the economic impact of COVID-19. And exactly that word that you just said there, Anthony, is exactly what I feel it is, propaganda.
That's what it is.
But
That's
more
what it
than
is. Yeah.
propaganda, though, Anthony, it's similar. It reminds me of when Michelle Davis, our deputy party organizer talks about when she talks about monopoly money. When at budget time we hear $60 billion, but then we still hear about people struggling to get paid, people still waiting outstanding wages from the year before. Public officials can't get funds released for certain things, and it feels similar to that. On paper, Trinidad and Tobago looks amazing. On paper, we have all of the ideas and all of the solutions. And if I were not living in Trinidad and Tobago myself, if I was writing an article from elsewhere in the world looking into Trinidad and Tobago right now, on paper, we probably really seem to be doing well. We locked down the borders, we stopped non-essential services, we told people they're getting a salary relief grant, a rent grant, food cards. But when you look at the actuality of it, when you look at the reality of it, none of these things that they really implement have actually worked the way they said it's supposed to work.
Well, Felicia, listen, this is a prime example to see the propaganda machinery of the PNM, the propaganda machinery of the communications arm of government, which is controlled by the PNM. This is what they are putting out into the public, because if any of these people who are writing these articles were to actually live on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago, having to try to get the set grants that they talk about, trying to live in the same environment that they talk about where this quarantining is concerned, they would have a totally different story and article to be writing to the world in their pieces. Because really and truly what is happening on the ground is nothing comes in reference to what is being said in those articles. That is the bottom line. And the people in Trinidad and Tobago can testify to that, because we are the ones that are dealing with it real time, real time. We are in week what? Week 3, week 4 of this quarantine, and still there are families out there that have not gotten the grant. There are families out there that don't have any type of money in their house, or food in their fridge to feed their families. I am right now, I am helping several families in my area here in Santa Cruz pertaining to what they're not having food and certain items that they need to carry their families through in this time. I personally, and why it is that citizens must have to do these things, why does insurance have to be given away food and given food and other NGOs and people out there as citizens? What the state is really doing for the citizenry. They're talking about 50,000 people getting sign up for grants. Out of that 50,000, how many people out of that 50,000 actually receive a grant in hand? Because I'm still waiting to find out who I could meet that have grants, went to a bank, cash that check, and have our money in the house. I'm still waiting to hear and see who it is who could call. Anyway, we have a coordinator, Felicia.
If we have a
Calling.
yeah, we have a call-in session
Okay.
later.
So
Definitely to let
Trinidad and
the
Tobago, any citizens that's out there listening to this program, if you have received a check in your hand and cashed this check already, please call in and give us a notification as to that being the case. Because the people that I have spoken to personally that have signed up for the said grant to date still have not gotten any monies in hand from the city. But yet the state is talking about the spend money left, right, and center. And this is how much millions we already spent to pacify this COVID situation. But the money is gone where who that money was applied to? What part of the state or what part of the
Exactly.
country or corporate sector, private sector, business sector, small business, medium-sized business? Tell me who that money was directly applied to in Trinidad and Tobago that the government is talking about that they spent how much million so far on this COVID situation. Tell me, please. I want to know. I am a citizen that wants to know, right? Because at the end of the day is coming. We still have how much hours throughout the day? Again today is then it's tomorrow. It is tomorrow. Is the day after. The day after that. What are we doing to feed ourselves, to sustain ourselves? Everybody is home. The system and country is gonna freeze. How do you expect? And again, how we started the show today with me and if you with Digital pressuring me to make payments and threatening me to cut my services if I do not make my payment, I think is totally unreasonable in this environment for the citizens to have to deal with. In fact, for anybody to have to deal with, whether it's even Digicel themselves, whatever overheads that they have, whatever mortgages that Digicel may have, should be frozen by whichever financial institution that they need to pay and pacify those bills. The point is that that initiative and protocol is something that's supposed to be initiated across the board, from the top come straight down to the bottom. And that includes the ministers themselves, right? The point is, nobody knows what the hell it is that they're really doing. Again, unfortunate reason to keep them all quiet, not say and speak and stand their right as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago that is in this environment that the government, that the people put there has implemented on the said people, right? So none of this that's taking place here in Trinidad and Tobago right now making any kind of sense whatsoever. And we are running into a brick wall, and we are going to a point of no return for the citizens. You know what is the biggest thing that COVID is going to do? It's not about killing people, COVID-19 and this quarantine business that this government has put and initiated on the country is going to create bankruptcy. It's going to create failed, and that is going to put the country in a place where it would make it even more harder if you want to try to develop Trinidad at this stage, in this position where you have a major deficit across the board, where corporate power. We talk about the lifeblood of Trinidad and Tobago's economy. Forget about all them corporates, right? Because outside of the corporates, in order for the corporates to have their business, the small and medium businesses, they are the ones that generate the money in order to pacify the said corporate class, right? So when you bring the small businessman and the middle-sized businessman in peril, where because they're not making $1 billion a quarter in profit or annually in profit. If you make a couple $1,000 or maybe $100,000 is plenty, right? And that in itself, when you cycle and kill the middle class and the lower class entrepreneurs, what is the position we are going to be in? And what is the monies that the government of the day now have to look to acquire in order to float and pacify the situation that we are directly digging ourselves into right now?
Well, very well said, Auntie. And I want to give Matthew a chance to weigh in, just to remind those, or just to alert those who may have just tuned in with us, because I know we really started to go deep into this topic. We're talking about the perception versus reality of the handling of the COVID-19 response by the government. And I mean, we saw it very early on in the beginning when we had our first press conference. I remember seeing on my Facebook, Matthew, I know you would have experienced this already, people, some of whom were PNM supporters, some who were not PNM supporters, general senses that, yes, they swooped in and they're really helping the people and they're really handling and managing the situation as they should. This is now going on a month and 5 weeks since that first press conference that we had. We have had many things happen since then. We've had the IDB, which released its report on the economic outlook of Trinidad. It also addressed the government's COVID-19 response, actually applauding them to a degree for the measures that they would have implemented, such as the salary relief and the food cards and the renters relief, etc. We had a couple of PN governments and weighing in, that Trinidad and Tobago had one of the best COVID-19 responses. However, that is the what we see on paper in terms of what we're seeing on the ground, in terms of what is happening in actuality. It is and does seem to be reflecting something much different than what we're being told on paper, than what we're hearing in the press conference. And I mean, I was reading in that same article about a woman who's saying that she's waiting for a $1,500 salary leave grants, and she's frustrated, she's tired, and I feel like I'm reading the same story over and over and over again, just by
Yep.
different people with different titles and different living situations and living in different constituency. But it seems to be the same story, copy and paste all throughout Trinidad and Tobago, which is that
Mm.
they're not, yes, these grants are so-called available, but they're not accessing it as they should. Then on top of that, many people are saying $1,500 barely covers the cost of living for a family of two or three for more than a week or two. And Matthew, like I said, I'm giving you an opportunity to weigh in, because we're talking about, like I said, what we are seeing on paper, what we're hearing and reading on paper versus what is happening in the constituencies in actuality right now throughout Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, guys, good morning again. I fully agree with Mr. Defoe because you see, and what you said too, Felicia, what is being portrayed to us and what is the reality of the situation, we can only speculate. So I agree, Tony, when he asked the general public just now to whoever has really received those grants to call in, or for them to show some form of proof that it is in circulation. Because in my area, my constituency, Chaguanas East, a lot of people are telling me that they have applied from day one, no phone calls, no messages, nothing. And you're right, $1,500 could barely sustain a family. Let's say the average family has four people in it. I mean, a little bit of something is better than plenty of nothing. So there are housewives or people within the family unit who can stretch that $1,500 and make it work for them. But then again, what about those who did not get it? I mean, this is a time where we all have to make sacrifices. I understand that fully. A lot of people understand that as well. But in this economic downturn, we have to know where we're going, where we're at, and how we're distributing these funds and make it readily accessible to those really in need. Now, on some of the forms, I've noticed that they require you to have a bank statement and whatnot, and what have you. The average person, let's just say the average person daily paid, their salary is not going through an account. How are they to acquire a bank statement if they don't have a bank account? These are things that they should have set up and had some foresight into where the citizens concerned, because not everyone, I may assume one thing, somebody may assume the other. The relative authorities who put in these proposals forward, they might assume that everybody has a phone, everybody has a smartphone, should I say, everybody has a bank account. But no, you have to think about it. Everybody is not you. You might have that. You cannot give an assessment or make a judgment based on your lifestyle. You have to hit the ground, see what's really happening. I mean, look at it. There are private entities doing the job, like Tony rightfully said, private entities doing the job that the government should have done or should be doing. Now, I saw some videos circulating on Facebook where this person with a PNM bag, really, in this time of crisis, you're trying to market your party. Come on, let's show humanity. Let's show,
Remember, it's not the time for politics.
right. You understand? I mean, now what is happening right now is political. So let's live in that real world. It is political where we are right now financially and the economy. It is based on politics, even the COVID response and how they're handling it. On that team that our prime minister put together, there is nobody representing agriculture. No one. Why don't you get an
Well,
agronomist?
there's nobody has represented
Yeah,
education
why didn't they put an agronomist on that
direct
team?
development.
One second,
Yeah.
Anthony, you were saying something. There's nobody representing what?
No, like Matthew said, there's a large portion of the way we live and key areas such as agriculture, like he said, like Matthew just said, as well as education, as well as security, as well as small medium business. Because the players involved that is incorporated in that whole scenario. Okay, you barely have working on the panel for that matter. We've been dealing as a nation with a social problem. Our home has been broken as far as you're not having an entire family unit with auntie and uncle and grandmother and all of that as it used to be. Now the environment is more a single parent home where it's either a mother and the children or
Exactly.
a father and the children. There's no other adults around for supervision or guidance for these children. We wonder why our society is going as mad as it's going for the past couple of decades. The point is, again, the social area and part of our society, we are dealing, that is broken. We are dealing with a social issue. And not having enough women on that panel to help shape the way we move forward, not only the way how we conduct business, the way we make money, the way that we spend money, the way that we learn, the way that we teach, the way that we love, the way that we understand. We need to redevelop not just the society in itself where hardware is concerned or physically or with infrastructure. We also have to change the way we think, the way that we operate and decipher information, assimilate information. This is a holistic motion that we have to take right now in our nation's history. And we have a perfect opportunity in this crisis. And I keep saying it, it is the silver lining that Trinidad and Tobago, you can say that we have a second chance in having the nation that we had aspired to 57, 58 years ago when that red, white, and black went up and the oppression was lifted off the shoulders of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and we had control of our own destiny. We do shit with that for the last 57 years. We pissed that away, but we have an opportunity right now in our history, in this time of this chaos. The silver lining is, like we say at the PEP, let's reboot the republic. Let's take the lights off and restart everything. Let us act as if we are
Exactly.
now independent. Let us act as if we are getting a country that is yet in a deficit, yet in debt, yet things don't work. It's a matter of itemizing and identifying all the issues that we are dealing with as a country, where citizens, businesses, corporate, you name it, is concerned that we deal with, and we shape a nation that makes more sense with a greater benefit for all. What is the rocket science in
Agreed.
that? It's
Fully agreed.
1 people. We know there are companies out there in the world that have more people employed by them than we have as a nation, and they are operating their companies very efficient with huge profit margins. How is it we are not able to have a country with all the resources that we both for the past how many decades, and yet we only have $6 billion in a heritage fund where we're supposed to be having almost $1 trillion sitting down inside of there today. We are living in a country where there's so much red tape and there's so much of anything that simply does not work and making sense for the population, for the citizenry. I mean, come now, man. We must put the brakes on now, grasp the opportunity that is up in front of us because we are in the position that we're in, and restart the whole damn thing. Restart it with systems, policies, and procedures that make sense to everyone. End of story. It is not rocket science. But you think these people in government right now, both the UNC and the PNM, you think that they care about any of that? The
No, they
main
don't.
concern for these organizations is to ensure that we are able to be as pacified as livingly possible under these conditions and the conditions that are to come that we have to deal with, while they can put their hands in the kitty and still create overpriced projects and money's under the table and pick back here and there and allow the situation to continue the way that it is. Because no one to present day from either side of the fence, whether it be yellow side or red side, has come with plans, solutions or policies to the public, to the government, to Trinidad and Tobago, itemizing and showing a possible way forward where we can bring all players together, right? And forge a actual agenda for Trinidad and Tobago. But when we talk about this so-called for the roadmap to recovery that your prime minister talking about, that is a corporate takeover you're watching right here. These fellas and them going and put what they need to put in place to create what monopoly they need to have in order to ensure that their agenda move forward without any hampering. But the people are the ones who have to insist on holding end of the stick, and that is the system we are in. That right there is the issue that Trinidad and Tobagonians are dealing with. And we as a people need to come together and forget all this tribalism and all this racism and all these lines in the sand. Ourselves again, I keep saying it, we are Trinidad and Tobagonians. We are not Indo, we are not Afro-Trini, we are not Chinese Trini, we have that. We are Trinidad and Tobagonians, full stop, and that's where we identify to move our country and to move our society forward to the can actually accomplish that. Crap or smoking we pipe because this is the environment that the system wants us to be in. This way of thinking that we are doing right now, still insistent on all the and blaming everybody across the blame of bloody selves because we are the ones us where we are today. The
New
people,
world
the people
oppression.
that allow all this to take place for over 50 something years after coming out of slavery, after being oppressed for how much hundreds of years, we finally have the destiny in our own hands to bring betterment to all, to the grandchildren of India and Africa, kings and queens in their own heritage and their own rights, right? We come here and have a nation for ourselves now to develop our country and develop the citizenry, and this is where we are. This is where we are. We can't feed our population. We have people, regular people that go in and trying to help our neighbor next to them to try to feed them because this is the position that we're in. We have our government that can't even put out or ensure that the citizens themselves, all right, if they don't want to give out money and we having a problem where money is concerned, well, you now make a call to the agriculture sector, to the local manufacturing sector, who creating, who making and producing food, such as the national flour mills. Why the hell is we don't make a mandate and have them working 24 hours a day and put out flour and give everybody flour, give everybody oil, give everybody rice, give everybody if it's peas or whatever the case is, at least you know you have something basic in each home in Trinidad and Tobago where you can pacify the population because they are forcefully having to stay home at this point in time so they can feed their family and not have to come outside. Eh? But no, nobody want to think that. And when we at the PEP talk the talk, we're a bunch of mad people. We know the hell it is we say. But watch me. Let me don't start it too early on it. Too early too. I'm sorry.
When don't you start, Anthony? When don't you start? I don't think you can help yourself whether it's morning, early, noon, or yesterday. You are
But
you no,
it, it,
but you have every right to be, Anthony. And I mean, we started off this discussion by you relating a personal experience with digital, which may seem small to some people, but it's actually bigger than anybody could. You can't
could think.
just you can't just push it under the carpet, pretend it's not happening,
Correct.
because it is as a result of the overall handling from a government and policy and strategy level in terms of dealing with the fallout of COVID-19. And I remember seeing I got a message from B Mobile on Monday that I have 5 days to pay my bill. And I remember reading an
Yeah.
article about 2 weeks
You see?
ago from them saying that, they can't continue to defer payments. And you see,
Why? Why can't they continue deferring payments when these are the companies that are making $1 billion in profit a
Yeah,
quarter? That is 3 months. That is in 3 months. You ain't
that
started
every
talking
three
about
months.
here
Yeah,
defer payments for a population that is the ones that have you making them kind of profits over the years, over the decades. Come now, man. It can't be the people holding the shit under the stick all the time. This has to
that's
be
right.
spread
That's right,
across
Tony.
the
That's
board.
so correct. That's
Everybody
so
across
correct.
the board has to feel it pinch. Everybody across the board must sacrifice in this time of need. I keep saying all the utilities that is under the state should be given to the population for free. Free water, free electricity, free phone, free internet. That because you have the population at home, they must have a form of communication to know what is the state saying. They must have power the communication devices in order for them to hear what the state is saying. They must have water coming through their pipes because they have to ensure that they keep clean because it's about hygiene. They must have internet so this way they have that communication link with the world and knowing exactly what the hell is going on. This is a simple thing. Let the state take the hit there. Let it take the hit there. Let the companies do whatever budgeting that they need to do and auditing they need to do in this period of time that we have to be quarantined, that the economy is actually frozen. And study facts. Then come up with a game plan as to how it would be either pacified or considered a bloody loss. Because again, we did not ask for this. This is something that is global. Nobody can hold responsibility directly for this COVID-19 situation that we are dealing with globally. So if that is the case, and we as a nation that simply got themselves mixed into the shit, excuse the French again, Trinidad and Tobago, but yes, my pressure is a little high. I am very upset as a citizen, as always, because I cannot understand people who have all the doctorates and masters and all the education in the world simply seems to not know what they are doing, and they are playing with the lives of an entire nation. And I cannot be okay with that. So yes, I am somewhat emotional, and I to my listeners and viewers. But as I was saying there, the point of the matter is that there are systems that should have been placed. The Prime Minister should have come out to the public nationally and indicate, yes, we are freezing the economy. No billing should be placed to any citizens, and that's across the board with banks, with whether it be for mortgage, whether it be for car payment, whether it be for light, water, internet, you name it. Any type of payment of the sort should be frozen. And where, let's say, banks are concerned, where mortgages and car payments, listen, it's a simple solution. If it's a 3-month period, they're given deferrals for, you add the 3 months after the so let's say, for example, you have 5 years to pay off a car payment, and you are deferred 3 months. Let it be, give the people the 3 months of free now. Right now, no payment, and not when things get back in operation, you're trying to tax the people to add a little something to make up your money. No. Push
That's
those
right.
3 months, and so you will be paying 5 years, 3 months, the total amount that the bank was
Anthony,
originally
as you
supposed to
said
get.
that, I don't think a lot of people understand what these moratoriums and deferrals actually mean. Some people seem to think that, okay, a bank tell you you're not paying your loan for 2, 3 months, that resuming payments that you continue paying as is. No, they're expecting you to pay back the 3 months plus the month that is coming after that, and I don't think that
Correct.
is what people are noticing. And that what you just said there, if your loan is 5 years and you have 2 years left on it, rather than force people
Exactly.
to pay 3 months now, or
Mm-hmm.
You
the
put
next
at
3 months,
the end.
and rather than when business resumes, you ask them to pay that lump sum that they would not have paid in 3 months, you actually just add on an additional 3 months to their loan. Because let us face it,
Exactly.
coming out of this financial strain, this crisis that we are in right now, coming out of us being in lockdown and people losing their jobs and whatnot, when you start back working, nobody, at least not the average citizen, is going to be able to pay any lump sum of anything in terms of loans.
Exactly.
And
Listen, even
That's
when
right.
this, let's say we have this COVID thing for 3 months, even when it's lifted, Felicia, you have to understand, people are already in a deficit. They have to make up money now to get back to where they were. You can't
exactly.
force people to pay more than they're supposed to, because they don't even have money to make the initial payments for the after the 3 months, for the first month after that 3 months. They don't even have that money yet. They still had to look to make that money. So what it is,
Yeah, yeah.
again, the
Exactly, guys.
system does not make
Exactly.
sense. And the
And
corporate
Tony, and
side of the country is trying all that they can at this point to have minimal effect in their industries. They want the people again, the clients, the customers, to be the ones feeling the brunt of the pain. And I am saying that it needs to be spread evenly across the board. Everybody needs to lose at this point in time. Everybody. Not just the
yeah,
people. Not the
that's
people
right.
are losing.
That's right. But guys, to my understanding, you brought up the loan period of as an example for 5 years. Um, in that financial industry, the banking industry, the first 2 years out of that five is just interest you're paying. The last set of payments you make
Correct.
on your loan is actually the capital. So
That's
financially,
right.
It is not money out of their pocket. When I say that, as what they put out initially. And on top of that, if I had to take a loan for, let's just say, $100,000, I have to put out 10%, pay all the legal fees, and then they lend me 90 and charge me for 100. And three or so out of the 5 years in payment, depending on the installment denomination, is interest, is basically interest.
Yes,
So it is
yes,
not going to harm them for, you know what, saying, okay, Mr. X is paying a loan for 5 years. Let's give him 3 to 6 months deferral, no interest added, because you're already paying 2 years plus of interest on the said capital. So
yes.
it is not going to financially hurt the institutions that much. They're not really losing anything because it does not affect the capital that they put out. It is going to affect what we are paying back, our interest. And for us to come after this crisis, I have to call it a crisis because it's not only the COVID, the number one effect of COVID is the economic downfall internationally. And for the people of this country, that we cannot, if I have to go now and find that money, if I'm paying $1,500 a month and I have no income right now, where am I getting $4,500 plus tax plus interest to pay that month, to pay that loan to bring my accounts up to speed? The financial and lending institutions, they need to take into consideration their customers, their clientele. I'm a businessman.
I
I
want
will
to read.
I will inject resources into my community because you know why? Those are the said people coming to spend right back by me. Same thing with the banking industry. Protect your client because those are the same people who paying your bills, helping you declare how much billions or millions of dollars at the end of every financial year, and then you want to, and rather than sacrifice a little bit, you know what, let's declare $1 billion. So Mr. XYZ ABC, everybody has to know we're giving you the deferral, but we added interest onto that. So Anthony, you're right, they should have been able to defer the loans properly, and let the people, let their clients, and that doesn't mean banks, I mean all financial institutions across the floor, no matter what platform you're on. You should have sought after your clients' interest because the clients are who put you and pay your bills and put food on your table, from a director's point of view, straight down to your tellers or what have you, all employees.
I want to read something here for y'all. And I remember when I heard it at the end of last year, I was blown away. And because we're talking banks here, I want to read this out for the public to hear because we're talking deferrals and we're talking freezing loans and mortgage payments and allowing people to repay at the end of their intended loan cycle to extend it, especially for people who cannot pay their loans. And this is the one for you. Republic Financial Holdings Limited, RFHL, ended its 2019 financial year with a profit of $1.58 billion. That is, let me read that again, $1.58 billion, an increase of $258.3 million or 19.5% over the previous year.
Boy,
Meaning
Trinidad, are you
they
hearing that?
had
Are
they
you hearing
had
that number?
they had a 19, almost 20% increase in profits between 2018 and 2019.
And you telling me, Felicia, that these institutions cannot take a portion of the hit for the people, the same people who do not have a job, who do not have money coming in, the same people that is like Matthew said before, ensuring these are how these companies are making these heavy profits is because of the people. Where's the humanitarian side of anything in this environment anymore? Where is it? Because nobody cares. Everybody only cares about what money they could get, how they could get it, and to ask whoever it is that they're getting it from and how they have to deal with things after that payment is made. That is a problem. We are running ourselves into a brick wall because we
That's
are
right.
going to
Head first.
impose large
Head first.
portion of our society. The ones who are on the lower rung of society in itself, living day to day, week to week, month to month, These are the people that is going to now be holding the worst end of the stick. We are putting these people, because I'm telling you, people are not going to stand by and see their child crying for food and they sit down twiddling their thumbs. We are creating a very chaotic environment, and the state is going to now want to implement the water cannons and the this and that and the other, and put even more pressure on the state, under the citizens itself. We are, this is, boy, I tell you,
I want to read First
I tell you.
Citizens Bank as well. First Citizens Bank report recorded in 2019 1.06 billion, a 5.2% increase when compared to 2018. So I mean, I'm calling out these figures. I can go on to read Scotiabank and all the other banks that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago. I can go on and read it, and I'm sure they would also report a very hefty profit as well. But I'm calling that out because, just like Matthew alluded to, in terms of the amount of money we as consumers, as customers, as loan payers in this country have, contributed towards these profits. We have made the banking sector extremely rich on processing and holding fees alone. I mean, $20
Well,
every
yeah.
month. Republic Bank very diligently takes out their $20 to hold my money, and we're now talking about a period where we, as the citizens, as the people who repay these loans on a monthly basis, we're now faced with either having to still continue payment, because there are some people who still have to pay their loans, whether we're in a financial crisis or not, depending on if you were approved for a moratorium or a deferral or whatnot. And then those who, at the end of their moratorium, still have to find now a lump sum to pay. And I do want to segue into something else that I wanted to speak about in terms of the economy, and it kind of circles back to what we were mentioning, where on paper we look nice and in actuality we seem to be anything but. Last night on that episode, Plain Talk Part 2 with Vade, when who is a financial consultant actually, and a former managing director of Citicorp Merchant Bank, a very brilliant man, I have to say. And if anybody missed that live video, please go and check the PEP page, go and check Philip Edward Alexander's page. You have to see, go and check my page, because if there's one episode that of Plain Talk that you need to watch, actually two. Watch today's what, Wednesday? Watch
Yeah,
Monday and
Monday
Tuesday's
and Tuesday.
episode of
Yes.
Plain Talk. Hear
Yeah.
what real ideas and solutions for country songs like, and not just that. Hear the actual truth of the country of Trinidad and Tobago, because I remember when I just joined the Progressive Empowerment Party and I was just getting involved in politics, and I used to hear foreigner, third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere, third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere, third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere. And where I live, Belmont, I don't see the reflection of us being the third wealthiest nation in the hemisphere. Where I visit in terms of being a young budding politician, going around the country having various public meetings and various constituencies and regional corporations, I don't see the reflection of us being the third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere. And what Vade was saying last night in his interview with Philip is that we have been, for a long time, on paper, been looking very nice, but in actuality and in the reality of things, we are not obviously doing well as a country. And our rising public debt that we will never be able to repay for generations to come, things that
Felicia, we seem to have lost you there. Anthony?
second there. I'm back.
Yeah. Yes. There.
I was saying that when you look at the reality of where we are and the debt that this country has literally, we have borrowed ourselves into a hole right now that it's easy to say devil take tomorrow. We're not studying that for now. But the reality is that our children and our children's children and our children's children would be paying and repaying debt, just like the same interest that we're talking about on loans that we take, personal loans and mortgages to the bank. We will be repaying this debt and interest on this debt for years and decades to come. I just took another loan for COVID-19 from the CAF, and that loan was for about 50 million US dollars, approximately 340 million TT dollars. And you're gonna have people saying, yes, it's necessary, we need to take the loan at this time. And it's not a, to me at this point, yes, it's not a question of whether we need to take the loan or not. It is a question of us as a nation, with the growing public debt that we have to China and to the IMF and to the CAF and to all the other lending institutions who we still clearly have a line of credit to, but then one day that would run out. One day when you can't repay that. And this is what for me is concerning as a citizen, and it's something that I want the average citizen to understand. The little cocoon that we're living in right now can only protect us for so long, you know. Eventually, we have to break out of that cocoon and we have to face the reality of a new world, of a world where loans and lines of credit are no longer available. And IMF knocking on your door, that same IMF that Keith Rowley keeps talking about, that we've been dodging and avoiding, that now seems almost imminent in the face of what is a global economic downturn, faced by a drop in oil prices, faced by an economy that has not managed to diversify itself. And something Vade said last night, and I have to reiterate it. It's not like we can wake up tomorrow and just diversify the economy. It is not that simple. And this is not to bring doom and gloom, because yes, it can still be done. But the majority, not the majority, but what is lacking most in this situation is political will. That is what is lacking. We have a government right now who openly and bold-faced asked the nation, how can we diversify on Monday? And when the Prime Minister said that, I mean, I had to record it to speak about on the show yesterday, because I can understand how the man who we put in charge of our economy, can turn the question back on us, the nation. He should be telling us how we're going to diversify the nation. And the fact that, we can't wake up tomorrow and simply diversify is concerning, because we are now facing an outlook where had diversification or plans towards diversification began 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we may be looking, our future may not be looking so scary. And this is not to scare people. It's not a scary situation, but it's the
Scare
point.
them.
It's the
Scare
point
them
to
for
the
the
reality. It's the
scare the
point.
people, let them understand where we are as a nation, as a citizenry. We are not in a good place. The people must have the right fear, not the fear that the government trying to shove down the throat. They need to have the fear of truth. That is what they need to have, to understand where we are, because we are in a place that there is no return. We will hurt lots of families in Trinidad and Tobago. We ain't talking no 10, 20 people. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people. And we are putting ourselves in a place where we have no one to turn to but ourselves. And when we have nothing to show for the wealth that has passed through Trinidad and Tobago, to have wealth on hand to pacify the situation that we are dealing with as a nation, we are not in a good place, Felicia. So yes, put fear in the people and let them understand exactly what it is that we are dealing with in reality, not the fake bubble that this government wants to pretend that we're living in. That is utter madness, because that same Prime Minister that talking about Dream Team and about rediversification and all of this sort of madness. Imagine this is a man who is saying we are not in a position to diversify our economy right now. Really? Really? So where are the economists? Where are the people that are supposed to be giving this man a level of guidance as to how we are to take steps forward? He
Political
doesn't
will,
have those
Anthony.
people.
Political will. Because, again, listening to Vade talk last night, I had to ask the question to myself, and I know many people who would have watched that live interview would be asking, or did I saw them asking the question on the live thread, where is this man in relation to the government? Where is this man in relation to that COVID-19 rebuilding and response team? Where is this man in terms of the past 5 and 10 years? Because he said he's been around. He said he's been speaking this for the longest while, to the point that he's tired of speaking it. And I say
Hmm.
political will because we have the minds here, right here in
But I want to
Trinidad
say
and
this.
Tobago.
I want to tell you this. If the prime minister could have closed Petrotrin and not have a plan where diversification of the economy is concerned, this in itself is a prime example simply to show where we are right now with our present leadership. They do not know where we are to go and how we are to get there. It's that simple. They do not know. And if they do know, they choose not to put the information in the public space because there's another agenda at play. Because none of this, again, Felicia, is making any sense. Because you can't be a leader of a country and closing down the only money maker that the nation have to bring any major level of foreign exchange into the country, which is Petrotrin, and not have a supplemental plan in order to develop the country in a way to fill the void that was just purposely made by the said state.
But Anthony, is one thing to not know. I could understand that. You don't know the answer for something. He stood up in front of the nation on Monday and said, I don't know how to diversify the economy. What do we do? Is one thing to not know. Is another thing to have people echoing and screaming and knocking on your door and telling you what you should do and ignore it. And the fact that for years we've had people, brilliant minds, for years we've had people who seem to know what they're talking about, who've been warning us, who've been screaming, like I said, screaming at the government, telling them what they should do. I listened to that 6 minute video from Mala Dukaran, a woman who I have to say I greatly respect. And when you say why aren't there more women at panel, I'm not so much for the woman aspect of that COVID-19 committee, but if there was a brilliant woman that we had to add to that team, she should have definitely been on it.
Definitely,
But
definitely. You are
Mhm.
absolutely
Yeah.
correct. You are absolutely correct with that there, Felicia. Most definitely. And it's her among many others that is not a part of that so-called crew or dream team, as the Prime Minister want to call it. There's many people in Trinidad and Tobago that is not a part of that, that needs to be a part of that, not to create that body of people and that body now going and look for other people to bring into the mix. Do your damn homework early o'clock and pull the actual people who are supposed to be the driving force in developing a proper plan for Trinidad and Tobago moving forward and make that announcement, not the announcement of your partners, friends, and financiers and your little clique, and you're pulling one or two of the outsiders just to make it seem like, you're bringing the people together. That is all a facade, all that is show. These fellas and them know what their
most
agenda at hand and what it is they're trying to develop right now, and it's not for the people, it's
Most
for them.
definitely, exactly, and that is the step further that I want to take it. That's the step further I want to take it for the listeners and the viewers of this program this morning. It's not that we lack the competence and the expertise here, right here in our shores of Trinidad and Tobago. It's not that we lack it. It's that the ideas and the solutions that these people are most likely going to bring to the government involves things like getting rid of exactly what Anthony said, cutbacks, and friends and financiers will no longer be eating off of the treasury. That contract to number 1 and 3 Alexandra Place that is held by the family of the Attorney General would
But
definitely be cut. Public spending in exorbitant numbers on vanity projects like the Red House and the President's House and the President's Cottage, and refurbishing and bringing back those magnificent seven around the savannah would be put on pause. And these are things that again, this is a step further that I want to take the listening public to. These are things that directly impact the pockets of people who fund and finance political parties. And when we say here in the Progressive Empowerment Party that we want to go after corruption, these are the things that we're talking about. These are the things that directly impact the failing economy that we are experiencing right now. People think that we woke up one morning and Trinidad became a failed state. No, it didn't happen overnight. It happened through successive years of governments in and out, allowing kickbacks and white collar bandits to go. I mean, that drug report that we had back in the 80s. I didn't invent that. That happened before I was born, but that pointed to the reality of very senior high officials in this country aiding and abetting and profiting off of the narco drug trade that we have known has run as an underground economy in right here in Trinidad and Tobago. And when we say we want to go after these things, is because we understand that white collar criminality and nepotism and cronyism and kickbacks and everything and corruption and all that we see and inflated contracts to get back money from your friend bid for the all of this bacchanal and drama, the corrupt cesspool that we know as Trinidad and Tobago, it is a direct reason why we are in this state today. It's not that we lacked resources. Trinidad had enough money to live off of our oil and gas revenue for years, decades to come. I see Daniel Jackson posting that we had enough money that we could have lived off our heritage and stabilization fund for this COVID-19 period, easy and breezy. A withdrawal from the fund would have been like a pinch, a salt out of a whole bag of salt because we had so much money, but it was leaked and it was stolen from us through political bandits, and that is the whole reason for the existence of the Progressive Empowerment Party. We want to go after the people responsible for having us in the state that we're in. Yes, I agree, we need
Yeah, and
to
they
take
don't want to hear we say that, you know. They don't want to hear we say that. Is why they keep trying to block the Progressive Empowerment Party where mass media is concerned. Is why they try to make us seem as if we're crazy people and we do not know what the hell it is we're talking about. Because those people who have that narrative in the public and trying to influence other people as to not to look towards the Progressive Empowerment Parties, those people who are the ones who are feeding on the frenzy. Those are the people that do not want the status quo of the day to change. They want to still continue having the underground economy. They want to still have the nepotism. They want to still have the corruption and the underhanded deals under the table and the overpriced contracts. They want that to continue because this is how these people feed. This is how they eat. This is how they live. This is all they know. And this is what they want. So you find you have very
Exactly.
in society trying to talk down onto the PEP and try to disregard us and make us be by the waiting. Because again, we instill fear in that sector of the population, in that sector of society. That corporate class, them fellas and them who doing all the underhanded business, they don't want to hear nothing about the Progressive Empowerment Party. And unfortunately, these are the players that have their hands on control of key elements of the society and the machinery of government, where media is concerned, where other industries are concerned, and the influence where they have with the population at hand, having a large number of people employed under their organization again is a system and a way and a technique in stifling the people and trying to have the upper hand, have their own way.
Hmm.
and I wanted to. I'm gonna give you a chance to talk. I know Anthony. He talking a lot and buttoning on your chance to talk there. I will let you say your piece there before we
Yeah,
take
sorry,
our
they were.
break. But something I want to add. I've seen since this COVID-19 lockdown situation, a lot of Facebook social media people clearly having nothing to do in this time, probably deciding to take their first foray into politics.
Will you say we seem to have lost you again?
I'm
Right.
back.
You're back.
Yes, I think that a lot of people are taking to Facebook right now, attempting to weigh in on politics as they may see it right now, not understanding a lot of the well, how deep and how far back this runs. And to those people, before you speak on politics and before you attempt to form an opinion on something that you've only taken an interest in for the past 3 weeks of your life, I want you to listen to programs like this and Plain Talk, and do some reading and research to understand really and truly what it is the Progressive Empowerment Party is and has been speaking out against. And that word that we have grown so accustomed to as Trinbagonians, which is corruption. And I mean it because it has infiltrated almost every major aspect of our public life and our public services, etc. We tend to overlook it. But for those who, again, are new on the scene and don't understand why it is we are speaking out so strongly against things that this government is doing, is because within your very own history, in our present, there's so many examples of how this word corruption has negatively impacted on the lives of us here as Trinbagonians. The reason why we're in this position today, the reason why we have to borrow money, the reason why we are now talking people who may be at risk of losing their cars and their property if they can't repay this post COVID
Mhm.
19 is because we have had successive governments waste our money away, funnel money to friends and financiers through contracts that we now as the people have to face the reality that we will never be able to let me just say that given a Progressive Empowerment Party, we will definitely recover it. But again, this is money that we don't have right now to use in a bailout situation for this COVID-19 response, money that we have to borrow. And before you speak on things, again, I really implore you to do some research into the history of the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, and you will be surprised at what you uncover. Do some unbiased research. Let go of your biases and your political allegiances, and really think about those people who are really suffering right now in Trinidad and Tobago. And if you follow the crumbs, you would see where it leads you to, and you would see why a Progressive Empowerment Party government was formed and still exists. Matthew, before we go to break, you want to add in your piece?
But Felicia, on another note, well, on a similar note, is the government exempted from liability? That is my question. And ministers and what have you, in the eyes of the law or the constitution, are they exempted from consequences? Because
Liability in terms of
clearly,
what? This should not
yeah, because
be the question.
yeah, because
This should not be
clearly,
the question. Go
mhm.
ahead.
No, because what I'm saying is because clearly we are all victims of mismanagement. Clearly, I mean, in private entities, business structures, what have you, anybody in charge of the financial status of a company moving forward and the economic stability of that of said institution, they hold accountability for their position. So my question is to the general public, for my personal knowledge, I don't know if I'm wrong and I stand to be corrected at any time. Is the government, like all ministers involved, anybody within public office to that nature, are they exempted from the consequences of the law of by their actions? Are they? Because I mean, if on January 31st this virus was proclaimed and they did nothing about it, clearly that's negligence. Clearly. And anybody, I would seem to think, when you're looking in the eyes of the law, like I said, I stand to be corrected. Um, any death or any mishaps caused due to one's negligence, you're supposed to be held accountable for it. So my question is, really and truly, to the general public, are government officials, public office holders, or parliamentarians, are they exempted from the law and consequences of law?
The thing is, they are not and they should not be, but because our system is so corrupt, I mean, we have inquiries into activities that have reports have been mailed and filed and compiled, and because all of these people are connected, because they have their tentacles everywhere, they go
That's right.
nowhere. And that's the thing that we are lacking so severely right now in this country, which is of accountability, a lack of a real means of recourse. Like I said, I mentioned the Scott Jog report, and it baffles me that, we were able to call names and point out people that we knew were associated companies and businesses that pass as legitimate companies but being used to wash money because of these illicit narco activities, that we know the names, and still nothing
And
has
nothing
been
has
done. And
been
I
done.
mean,
Nothing has been done. And that is the same point I think Vade brought up last night, 'cause when Philip asked about the commissions of inquiry and why nothing was being done. He said, yes, the commission is set up to provide answers. And like you just said as well, yes, they have the answers, but the tentacles spread so far and so deep within the justice system that nothing is done about it afterwards. I think, I mean, my personal opinion, we as a people, we need to stand up, understand the constitution, understand the laws of the land, and have them enacted, and hold said people fully accountable, because we cannot move forward living in a cave. We can't.
well,
We
I will
need to
go
come
one
up.
step further. I will go one step further and say we need to elect a government that has an interest in holding these people accountable, because
That's
like you
right.
said,
That's
it's
right.
not that we don't have the answers, we just don't have a body right now that is interested in making these answers, well, getting these answers, and interested in holding these people accountable. And that's why you need to elect a government that is disconnected from the contract mafia and disconnected from these financiers who have their tentacles. When people ask me, as head of finance and chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, how you all make your money, I'm not ashamed to tell them we sell barbecue. We have
Yeah.
overseas members
Yeah.
who such a love for the country that they will say here, content, because we want to see you rebuild Trinidad and Tobago in that retire too. Am I still
Yes.
there? We
Yeah. Yeah.
we we have donation cans. We have meetings and say, here, buy a jersey for $50, because that's gonna help us build where we need to be. I'm not ashamed to tell people these things. You know why? Because at the end of the day, we're earning honest money, and there's
That's right.
nobody who can
That's
come
right.
back and say, and I gave you $100,000. Now you need to give me a contract worth 10 times that amount. When and should you ever get into government? Being
You
disconnected from
know,
the contract, yeah, being disconnected from the financiers has insulated us. So
yeah,
when we say we're going after these people, best believe we want to go after them. What are you going to say, Matthew?
and I'm fully on board with you. I'm on that team as well. To go after the anyway. But what I'm saying then, basically, our mindset has to change. And if I am the financer of a party, don't you think it's only fair, rather than expecting, if I donate $1 million towards anybody's campaign or anybody's party, it's only fair not for me to look for a return on my investment or consider the investment, but consider it an act of patriotism towards your country. You want a kickback, you want bribes, you want to do these things. Here's what: why don't you show an act of good faith and invest in your community? Wherever the finances come from, you want to cut a deal with a minister or whoever it is in a position for a contract. Show an act of good faith rather than give the person in charge $1 million or $100,000. Build a play park, help donate towards the community centers, help donate towards the health centers in the area. These are the areas that need critical attention that has been neglected for how umpteen years. And the people of constituencies seem to suffer and pay the price for it. Why? And the politicians, whoever in charge, they sleep very well at night. You think all of what we're saying right now, they are really taking it into consideration? They probably sitting down drinking something very nice, eating something healthier than you and I, and saying, man, to hell with them. They can say what they want. I don't have 10 million in the bank. Talk done. You understand? Right, Felicia.
Anyway, let's take with that said, Anthony, you're still there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah? You fell asleep there?
No, not at all, not at all.
We're gonna take a go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go take the break.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna take a quick break and come back to discuss some issues outside of the economy, but linked to the economy because it's all linked to Trinidad and Tobago, where we are and how we move forward as a nation. Please stay with us. We will be back after this very short break.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber, and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms, and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
We're back, but we seem to have lost Matthew. So I guess it will be Anthony and I for a little bit here until he realizes the break is over. Anthony, there was yes, welcome back, Matthew. There was something that I had brought up on Monday in the discussion, and I actually was happy to hear Vade mention it last night on his interview with Philip, and that was the topic of governments being willing to take salary cuts. And boy, it's one that I absolutely love because we are listening to the Prime Minister. I heard him say this is no Anansi story. I mean, he went back to primary school days and the folklore and folk tale of Anansi, and he said this is no Anansi story where we are really facing tough economic times and a very severe economic outlook. And for many people who are asking and calling for this, if we're in such dire times and dire straits, why not lead by example? Why not offer to take a 30% salary cut? Because let's face it, right now the economy
50%.
How about 80%?
I agree with you.
They should not even collect a salary. They are in a position we can guarantee all 41 of them MPs in that parliament, they have money packed up in the bank, just pack up in sacks. Do not collect a salary for this period. Apply that money towards the country and the citizens, because it's the citizens who have you there. It's the citizens that you're there to safeguard and to represent. And you had mentioned something before the break where our citizens are concerned, the 3 week the people who just getting into politics for the last 3 weeks. I would say this. I agree with a lot what you said, but what I would also say and throw into the mix of that is that we still have to be thankful to a point that the people are actually waking up and being involved and being aware of the political environment that they're in. Something that the people and population really wasn't having any concern about, really didn't care about. So I am happy that we have people that are now becoming politically savvy. And yes, they do need to do a lot more research and know our history as a nation and what's been done with our economy and with our resources and money over the years. But I think them being more concerned and implemented in politics as our citizens just simply shows that the people are actually waking up and becoming also aware of the political environment that we are living in. Because it's making sense of nonsense, but coming back to the original question that you just had mentioned, where our ministers are concerned, I believe these are people who should forfeit their salaries, apply those salaries to the state, and to use those monies to help pacify the families that are desperately in need. And I keep saying, the local level government, what is the actual purpose of local level government? If you need to have people on the ground as frontline people, that is part of the scope of people and manpower that you would need in getting vital on the ground information in each constituency, having a census of the people that's there and families, having a census of the haves and have-nots, where you can put the focus and resources of the state to the people who have not, who are in need of real help. Simple thing as food, simple thing as water. Forget about giving people money. I was only saying personally for the state to give every citizen a stipend, whether it be between $2,000 to $4,000 per month, and have our block of the quarantine period be segregated in a 3-month period. That gives the country way more than enough time for this to subside and pass. One, you are freezing the economy economically. You are pacifying the nation in the sense where you will be giving the stipend. In the event that you restarting the economy in 3 months or 2 months, the point is that you have people and families, even if they did not or was not able to spend that money during the quarantine period, it means to say that they have money now to spend with you as the state restarting the economy, not in a deficiency. But again, it's an idea, and maybe I am a madman, right? Because I have a lot of sycophants and trolls saying I am a madman, right? But I just feel it is common sense. It is common sense. It's all about numbers. It's all about identifying the issues we are dealing with and applying proper solutions that can give you a level of longevity, not a plaster on the store to deal with the issue for now, and then 2 months or 3 months down the road, we back at square one. That is not proactive thinking. And the government is, and they are not leading by example. They are not, because they can be collecting our salary normal in this time, and everybody else is solved. It can't be so. It cannot. Policia, it just
That's
cannot.
right.
I'm sorry. It is.
That's right. But
Right?
Tony, to somewhat add to what you're saying, I fully agree. They should have set the precedent, set the standard by making themselves examples and announcing to the public and to the nation, we are prepared to take an 80% cut in salary because 99.99%, if not 100% plus VAT and service charge of them in Parliament are financially secure, fully secured. And their salary is not
Correct.
really, and what they're receiving as a salary is like throwing a pebble in a pond. It does nothing for them, but it will do a lot for one
Yes.
salary. Could probably do
That's
a
what you
lot
can.
for 4 families or 5 families. You understand? During this time of shutdown, what they could have also introduced is doing some infrastructural work and giving the people from the constituencies a little fortnight, couple days work, see about drainage, do the relative construction and repairs on schools. Because I mean, we don't know when school's going to open back, so you have a time frame to do the necessary repairs, add it into the construction sector, get people from within the constituencies to come out and do some work. So at least in that way, if everybody cannot reach the grant, some at least people are being covered with a little salary that will carry them through. I mean, you do it according to the guidelines of the separation and the distancing and whatnot. But still, get something going. Get it going. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is where we stand as a party to make sure not just the higher ups, but the person who you can't even think about has a dollar in their pocket. I mean, me being
You
what
see
the,
what you're
the
talking
governor.
about there. What you're
Mhm.
talking about there kind of dovetail. I don't want to say dovetails is not the word. It kind of comes out of that policy that we have where, with regards to the work in the schools in the constituency and employing the people in the constituency, with our policy where major works and contracts should be done by
Mhm.
contractors and workers from the constituency rather than you hire a Calco or Junior Sammy to come from wherever they're situated down to Belmont or Point Fortin or Labre or
That's
Chaguanas to
right.
do work,
That's
and
right.
that
I
can
mean,
ideally be done to and used to feed and give actual wages to people within the country where work is taking place and where these people live and operate. And
They don't want that. They don't
No,
want that, Felicia.
they don't want that because they're still trying to hold the nation to ransom. I mean, I don't want to misspeak, but it is apparent to me that with all these 100 pages that you need to fill out, provide bank statements, the lack of accessibility. Yes, it's an online form you could submit as well, but you have to factor in those who have certain resources and those who don't. So I would seem to think, like you're saying, Felicia, you're not employing any big contractors. You're giving the work to the people in the constituency. I addressed an issue, myself and Dave Babwa, he's the representative for Carney East. We went to Freedom Street and Enterprise. Those guys, they are suffering. They need some infrastructural work done in this downtime. Couldn't you send a team to evaluate the borough, whoever, send a team to evaluate the situation there? Get a group of, I'm sure that area has skilled men, masons and what have you, and laborers, and give them some employment. Keep the money flowing, no matter how little it is. Like I keep saying, a little bit of something is better than plenty of nothing. Support your grassroots. So I mean, if I if I am let's just say elected for Shogunas East, I'm going to make sure that happens. I'm going to make sure because I stand by the policies of the party. I fully support what we're about. And you see, where the passion is making sure, like I keep saying and stressing on, the grassroots get something. And I didn't like to call them grassroots, but as a general vernacular, I mean, the people on the ground, the average Joe, the hardworking people, those people who have corns on their hands, those guys, give them an opportunity to make some money. You could have been doing now, rainy season coming up on us just now. Just now, Freedom Street has an issue with with a river being blocked due to lack of care and attention. We have roads where I live in the back in Endeavour here in Greenvale. We have the access roads being blocked when flooding occurs, and this rain does not have to be for 2 3 hours. Half an hour and that's it. Because poor infrastructure during this downtime, these things could have been addressed, and you give the people of the constituency some employment. So with that now, you have a fortnight work, you collect a little salary, you could go and buy your food because you can't access the grant. Because again, this government providing fantasies up in the sky. So you know what? They could take their fantasies and live in the clouds by themselves. But let's live in the real world where the people are affected, like Tony said. The people are affected. Show us some humanity. Not just that. Show us who you really are. I mean, you have shown us who you really are because of negligence and what you have done. I would seem to think that you're solely to blame for the position that we're in, this administration, because lack of well, mismanagement, poor governance, lack of foresight, or should I be so bold as to say you're so accustomed being a puppet you don't know what to do. Now that nobody's telling you what to do, or maybe someone is telling you and you're handling whatever way you see fit. But again, we need to address certain situations. We need to make sure the general public has access to these funds readily and make it available to them. You can do a survey, the necessary representatives, all those MPs. I hope those guys listening to me right now, the MP for Chaguanas East and Carney East. I hope you all are listening and taking heed. Because here's what, apparently you all don't have any form of direction or any sense of foresight to put things on the ground to provide for the people that put you all in the respective positions. You have a position, you're the link between the government and the ground. Why are you adopting 3 and 4 portfolios where you cannot even focus on one? Why are you doing that? You understand? And again, Tony, you're right. Stand up and say, well, I, representative or MP, I am going to take a 80% cut in my salary because in the back of your mind, you already know you have skyscrapers in different countries. You have malls in different countries. You have whole developments that is in your name. But you know what? Like you say, Felicia, we coming for you. Be warned, we coming for you because the people in this country, the people, they are the most important factors. Like in any business, I always remember my grandmother, she was a business lady. Her focus was the smallest man in the ground because to her, that is the people putting bread on the table. and she was a respected businesswoman. You understand? So why not adopt the same mentality and focus on the people, on the actual people? You understand? And I really don't know where we're going now, because I starting to feel just like how Anthony feels, and it's, oh God, boy, it is overwhelming sometimes to know that the simplest things could be done. It does not take a rocket scientist, it does not take a scholar, it does not take somebody with a PhD to figure out, okay, maybe I inject financial stability to the grassroots people who are now going to do the majority of spending, and that will stimulate the economy. But no, if you give a rich man $1 million, he'll just put it in the bank. You give a poor man $1,000, you know you're gonna do? Buy groceries, buy clothes for his children, see what his family pay bills. Money back into the system. That is the level you need to think
Yeah.
about. And again, I keep pressing on. See about the schools. We really don't know when they want to open the schools, but for this time period, do the repairs. See about the infrastructural work in the drainage. You understand? Prepare for our agricultural sector. Work with Carney ex-workers and get our lands back planting. Get our farmers back working. Put an agronomist on that team of recovery, so he will have an idea of where we need to be in the agricultural sector. Start clearing the access roads to the said lands. Designate X amount of parcels to how much ever farmers. Let them grow, let them produce, take off the taxes off of farming chemicals, equipment, what have you. You can do that. That is what makes imported food cheaper than locally grown and grown vegetables, fruits, what ground provision. That is what make imported meats cheaper than local, because we have so many taxes, and I think the system has been purposely set up to make sure that import is cheaper than local. So what are we
Yeah.
to do? If we cannot feed ourselves, anybody could hold us to ransom, because you know why? We imported all the food. Let's just say, um, God forbid, the US imposes some kind of sanction against us where we cannot trade. A lot of people bring food from the US, all those brands. So what are we to do then? Sit down and eat bricks? No, we can't. We have to eat. We have to learn to sustain ourselves. Trinidadians have to get up and start to do for themselves. The all administration, spare none, all to date, has not encouraged self-sufficiency. They never encouraged it. I mean, the business sector, I think some of the business people who I know personally, they would agree, because these are people who have a heart. They take care of their workers. There are a couple of them right now. I mean, yes, they're financially stable, but they're making sure that when they could reopen, their workers could come out to work, because they're still trying to assist them if it's with little groceries, something small that they could live with. This is the job of the government to provide that. That is why we have the HSF. And I want to know personally, where's the accountability for every cent being spent? Every cent, the injection, the 50 million loan, and what have you, and the $400,000 donation, US. Where's all of that money? Why a portion of that has not been dedicated to food, the agricultural sector? I mean, diversification is nothing hard. You can do a ground assessment, see where we are, what resources we have, if any left, if any at all, and try to work from there. I mean, me being
The,
somebody excited about
the problem,
automotive industry in Trinidad, I will use Barbados as an example. 1 year of an FIA event, Barbados generated $22 million in forex. Where are we in that? Which is more money than we made for our carnival in some instances. You
Anthony, you
understand?
were going to say
And,
something?
pardon?
what
Sorry
I
to
was
cut you,
about to
Matthew.
Okay.
what I was about to say is the problem the government is why the government is approaching this with the normal same model that they've been using globally for the last how many decades. No one is realizing that we have to refabricate the way we are conducting business. We can't look towards foreign exchange anymore. We can't look towards competing on the international market anymore, because every country right now is basically quarantined for themselves. So you find that products coming in and out of the country will be somewhat stifled, if not fully stifled. The point is that we have to refabricate a society that we can conduct our business here locally. We can create a value within the TT dollar on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago for the citizens to be able to exchange for product and service. And again, I keep asking, where are the economists? Where are the accountants and the everyone who deal within the financial sector? The point of the matter is that we have to forge a new model to move the country forward. We cannot look towards trying to sell oil or to sell products internationally to gain US, to be a part of the whole global game, because right now the global game is stifled and we still are stuck with a population of 1.4 million people that simply don't know what is the direction in which they need to go from this point forward. And the government is not giving any indication as to themselves knowing exactly the way we are supposed to go forward as a nation. And again, the simple solution towards it is to seek the interest of home first, develop Trinidad in a way presently that can not only facilitate the time to come in the future when the international economy starts to restart and move and work as it's supposed to, but until then, we still have to know how we are going to conduct ourselves here locally on the ground. How are we going to now ensure the population making money, being able to live, being able to pay bills, being able to simply operate as a citizen in a nation? Nobody's talking this.
Nobody is. And Anthony, I mean, it's why we're here every Monday to Friday talking these things. We're not just talking for talking's sake. I would love to spend my COVID-19 days sleeping until 10 in the morning, not bothering to listen to news and read and research and prepare for these shows. I mean, I'd like to just relax, but while while it is a down time for some people, it is also a time for
Pressure for us.
it's pressure, yeah, because I mean the reality of what we're in right now, the reality of what we're facing is not vacation time, it's not happy
Yep.
go lucky, it's not, it's not what if we were where we were supposed to be, this would have been a nice downtime, relaxing time for people. But
Really?
especially
You're
for us
absolutely correct.
here, yeah, especially for us here in the Progressive Empowerment Party, it is more critical now than ever that people really understand. And Anthony, you said something earlier about, you're glad that people are being involved in politics, in answer to what I was saying, for those who are getting involved, to just make sure that they're properly informed. And to correct myself,
That's right.
if it may have come across incorrectly, it's not that I'm not happy that people are involved in politics. I very much appreciate that they're paying attention. But what I
Yeah.
want them to pay attention to is real information, not propaganda. I don't want them to just buy into what's being spewed by the government. And I remember I made a statement about that about 3 weeks ago, and I got a lot of ponging for it from friends and people on my Facebook, on my social media, who would have said, Felicia, why in this time of uncertainty would you encourage people to not believe in the government? I say it's not that I want you to not believe in the government. I want you to think as an informed citizen. The same way you wouldn't go back, or sorry, let me just say wouldn't go back. The same way a man has lied to you 5 times about not cheating, and you find out each of the 5 times that he was cheating on you. When you go back the sixth time, you would go back with some level of caution, or you would consider even going back at all based on the fact that you found out he lied to you 5 times before. We're dealing with a government that has been known to tell untruths. We are dealing with a government that has a very direct line to spread propaganda, to spread information through paid political hacks. I'm not going to call this woman's name, but I was glad to say, I'm proud to say that I managed to avoid being taught by her in university. We have a lot of people who are spread throughout the country who are paid and who buy into the narrative that encourages you not to think and make informed decisions as citizens. And just to be clear, I want people, of course, to be involved in politics, but I also want them to not just lap up everything that is being given to them by both the PEP, not the PEP, sorry, by both by actually including the PEP, by the PNMD, UNC, the PEP, MSJ, anybody who's giving you information that's supposed to be political information, I encourage you to take it, do your own research, and not just swallow everything that is being spoon fed to you. Back in the days of Hitler and World War II, the reason why, and I always remember asking that question, how was one man allowed to commit so many atrocities on such a large number of people? And I was like, is it that back in that time, people didn't understand what was going on? It's not that people didn't understand that was going on, it's that they didn't ask the right questions. They didn't push back when they should have. And a lack of critical thought, a lack of active participation in your own politics is the reason why we have seen genocide happen all over the world. It's the reason why we have wars that people still don't even understand what the wars were about. And when I say that, when I say be involved politically, but also learn to think critically, it's because both go hand in hand. Yeah.
That's right.
I do want at this point in time, because we have just under 20 minutes left for the program. People are messaging me on the side, and I am reading your messages, but it's so much easier when you call in. That's why we have a Talk Your Talk segment. I realize we have some very shy peppers who would rather send me their messages rather than call in. You can call me on WhatsApp as well. We do have a facility that allows for that. The number is 769-4590. The reason why we have this Talk Your Talk segment is because we know you have a lot to contribute. We know you have your questions, and we're here to listen, to answer, and also engage with you and the rest of the viewing public of Trinidad and Tobago and abroad. So the lines are open. If you can just put up that number there, 769-4590. Call in and have your say. I do want to read out one particular message that I got from somebody who sent me this. She said there are people who are secured financially and still applying for the grants and foods, which will then take away from those who are really in need. And you know what? I wouldn't doubt that, because we know before this COVID-19 process, this COVID-19 crisis, that, and I gave the example of a woman in the supermarket dressed from head to toe in Gucci and Michael Kors and Best Watch and Diesel and Fossil, all the fancy names and high heels and whatever, pushing about 2-3 trolleys in the grocery supermarket. So you're thinking this is a well-off lady. And then when she reaches the front of the line, pulls out 3 and 4 food cards to pay for her basket
Item. Yeah.
items. And it's the same thing with HGC homes. People who don't need the homes because they have friends and know politicians and political favors, etc., and have a party card and etc., get access to funds and houses and grants that should ideally be going to the people most in need. But however, because of a failed system, a failed uh, means of tracking those who are really in need and who fall under the radar, we have crimes like this being perpetuated. And again, like I said, just with what we know, I don't disagree that this can be happening, but it also points to the responsibility of the Social Development and Family Planning, Family Services Ministry, to really vet. I mean, with all of these hoops that you have to jump through to get the grants anyway, it's a wonder that people could still pass through or fly under the radar and access these grants when they're not meant to. Anthony, you go ahead.
We should be in a position to give every citizen, 1.4 million citizens, a grant. Once you are having in your possession a national ID from Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad is supposed to be in a place to be able to present a relief grant to every citizen on the island. The ones who do not want to accept it, don't accept it. The money would stay right in the bank. The ones that do need it, they would obviously be the ones in line in order to acquire this grant. But the point of the matter is that we shouldn't even be thinking as to who have money from who doesn't. We are supposed to, as a nation, as the state, doing this as an initiative, present a relief grant available to any citizen that may choose to want one or have need for one. Because you have people out there that, yes, have businesses and may have properties or whatever, but we still don't know their actual environment, as in their cash flow or how much money they have in their account. I mean, look, I'm a businessman. It's not like I have millions tucked away in the bank. That's not the case, because we remember that business people, especially the middle class and the lower middle class and the lower class of entrepreneurs and business people, these are people who have high debt, who have the banks owning certain pieces of machinery, maybe owning a vehicle, a company vehicle, or even having a mortgage, or what the case might be. Remember, we have been operating in an environment in Trinidad and Tobago for the last 2 decades at a deficiency, people not having spending power, money not having any real value, and the system in itself and the red tape involved is what basically helps stifle the small and medium businessman on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago. So where that comment is concerned, I understand in the environment that we're presently in, knowing the country does not have money, yes, I would say that put the focus on the ground where the needy families are concerned and ensure that those people get it. But in a perfect world, which we should have been in as our leaders having to take our country forward 57 years now, we are supposed to have, like I said, $1 trillion in our Heritage and Stabilization Fund sit on waiting to help the country. We are supposed to be in a position to pull out money out of that and pacify 1.4 million people on the ground, whether it be a $2,000 grant per month, whether it be a $4,000 grant per month. The point of the matter is that should have been our reality, but it is not. And it is unfortunate for us to say at this point, at this time, in this environment, that we are looking negatively towards people who may have had a couple extra dollars than other person, and say that that person is not warranted to get money versus the other person being warranted to get it. I'm just saying, personally, this is my personal view. I just believe, again, the situation is not something that was instilled by ourselves. We were the one that chose this. This is something that came and met us. The state made certain decisions and protocol and mandate an initiative for us to all stay home and to slow and stop the economy, stop movement. The point is, the government of the day is supposed to have a plan to pacify every citizen on the ground. Full stop. It should not be a saying drawing lines in the sand and saying who should have from who shouldn't. Because this is an environment that we serve every citizen controls. We did not ask for this.
Anthony, I have to
That's
agree
true.
with you, but disagree with you to an extent. Definitely, of course, if you need help, whether you are a business, this is not a, and I want to be clear, this is not a line between business owners and non-business owners. This is a line between those who need and those who don't need. And what you have in Trinidad and Tobago is a lot of people who don't need and who can't afford still taking advantage of the fact that they can access, which directly takes out of the mouths, the pockets, the hands of those who
That's right.
absolutely cannot afford. We have people
Correct,
who
in this
right now
environment,
spending this COVID-19 DDI, floating on their floaties, drinking wine, smoking weed, having a great time on the islands, and they could live, they live in comfortably. To tell me that somebody like that who has no worry in the world, who, whether COVID-19 comes or goes, whether the economy rebounds or not, that they live in happy-go-lucky, tell me that a person like that can access a grant, I would absolutely disagree, because you do not need it. And I really want to be clear about that. I am very much sure that I know of business owners who you would think would have been doing extremely successful, but who have money tied up in investments, and who at this point in time they're not doing too well financially. Of course, if you need the money, you need it, but don't tell me that you don't need the money, but you're still accessing it. Don't tell me that you own 2 and 3 townhouses, but you also own 4 and 5 HGC houses. That is misbehavior, and it's not misbehavior in public office because you're not government official, but that is corruption to the highest degree. That is an extent of white collar criminality, and it is something that it is one of the contributing factors as to why there's such a disparity between the haves and the have nots. The haves know the people, they have the links to get access to these things. The have nots have to line up and photocopy forms and contact their last employer and still never access these grants. And that to me is the situation that I believe this person was trying to highlight. And that is one that I would have to reiterate. Definitely, it should be a case where these lists are vetted. These business people, if you are accessing these loans because you these grants because you actually needed that list is vetted, and not that you're taking money from the hands and the mouths and the plates of people who really and truly need it.
Yes, yes, Felicia. And again, I would agree with you in that aspect because of environment that we are presently in, knowing that the country is not sustainable economically to be able to float all the citizens financially for this period. But all I am saying with what I had said before is that because the country has had such money pass through its shores, that we were supposed to be in a position to be able to pacify every single citizen because it's every single citizen's right. It should be every single citizen's right to be able to acquire a grant, whether they wanted it or not. The point is that as a Trinidad and Tobago citizen, we were supposed where the government was able to offer a $2,000 grant or a $4,000 grant coupon for every citizen with a national ID that they can refer to within the system in the state that can grant these citizens, whether you have money or not, a stipend or relief grant. That's all I'm saying. You know, that's the environment we should have been in.
We had enough
But
money to be in that environment, Anthony,
correct,
but
correct.
we all knew what happened to that money and where that money actually is going.
But
Callers, don't
guys,
forget the
if
number
I
769-4590 if you want to have your say. Matthew, you were saying
yeah, but guys, didn't they take out how much was it? 20 billion out of the HSF? Was it
10 billion dollars.
10 billion? All right. 1 billion is 100 million, right? Or 1,000 million. You have 1.4 million people. Do the math. Do the math right there. And then some this guy came up and said that he needs to collect taxes to pay the grant money. So again, you want to take my money to give it back to me? What sense does that make? That doesn't make any sense. Because like I'm reading it in the comment section here as well, from Dexter Mustafa. He says whatever your project or any execution of activities, there are fundamental steps to be taken. Proper planning must include a thorough risk assessment, understanding consequences, and having the mitigating factors in place to avoid damage to capex, people, assets, or environment, ensuring that in planning we use learnings from past and present and employ the competent resources for execution. None of these things happen in this country. They're
Let me tell you
supposed to
something about
happen.
Dexter
Mhm.
Mustafa and I both worked together at the same company, and I will continue to laud this man because he brings, and I was so happy when I saw him involved in politics because a lot of what I bring and what he brings is I want to say a private sector thinking into a public
Yeah,
sector environment. And I don't believe in a differentiation between the two because there should not be a differentiation between the two. It should not be that you
there
can
should be a
expect
major
service
pedantic. Yeah,
from a private company, and when you go to a public service company you prepare yourself to spend whole day and come back the next day because you know most likely you're not going to get through the day that you came, so you have to apply for another day off from your place of work. And when I say he brings up private sector thinking, it's because a lot of the things that we talk about to implement in terms of the way we treat government and the way we do things in the public sector is not things that were just pulled out of the air. It's from best practices both
R and
locally
D.
and
Yeah,
globally, and
R and
and
D,
and
research and development.
exactly.
Yeah,
And in terms of private sector being able to assist the public sector, we need to be able to allow for that integration more right now in this country, because a lot of what we experience in terms of setbacks, in terms of delays, is because of a lot of unnecessary red tape and bureaucracy that exists within the public sector. That should you mirror that or look at the private sector private sector operations, you can find the
Mhm.
ease and simplest solutions and simply apply it. Again, people, a lot of what we talk about
Mhm.
on this program is not pie in the sky dreams. It's not airy fairy things that we just wish can happen. It's things that can be implemented. It's things that we can see happen. But you need to have a government. You need to have leaders. You need to have forward thinking, progressive people who
That's
want
right.
to
That's right.
make these things happen. The same way things
Yeah.
Yeah,
can work in the private sector, best believe we can make them work in the public sector. You just
that's
need to
right.
have
Yeah,
some an interest in making it work. A
Well,
country
Matthew,
that
hmm,
works right now does not
yeah,
benefit people.
Tony.
Anyway, go down the road. You're gonna say, Anthony, because we have 5 minutes, 4 minutes, so we have to wrap up very
well,
soon.
Matthew, I will make this real quick. You was talking about the numbers just now, right?
Yeah.
And when you look just as an example, $4,000 per person, not even per family, per person in Trinidad and
Mm-hmm.
Tobago, for a 3 month period works up to around $16.7 billion, right? If you multiply that
So we
by
still would
12,
have about
the
3.3
entire
billion
year you
left,
get
right?
about $66 billion. That's $6 billion over what our present budget is. We could have
Mm-hmm.
controlled the environment and the economy in itself and the nation had we had the actual funds in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Let me say we had $100 billion or a couple $100 billion. The point is that we were more than able and capable in pacifying the nation with a high amount as each individual, each citizen, 4,000 PT dollars per month for 1.4 million people for the entire year would have simply worked up to a $66 billion bill that the state would have
Yeah,
had to hold. And that is that
yeah.
even when the state was now about to restart the economy, the population at hand would have had dispensable cash to be able to help push the country forward
Mm-hmm.
economical. So that's my 2 cents
Agreed.
on that. Look at what Matthew had brought
Yeah.
up.
Tony, I
We
fully
have
agree with you there. Go
we
ahead,
have
Felicia.
just
Sorry, go
about
ahead.
3 minutes. No, no, no. We have. I was just gonna say that we have just about 3 minutes left in the program. We know Anthony likes to talk, so I was gonna give you guys yet about a minute and a half each. Well, a minute left because we have a minute each because we have 2 minutes left on the program. So I will give you each a minute to give your closing comments and wrap up. But before I do so, I just want to say a special good morning to one of our peppers, Jennifer Mohammed, who is sending me messages on the side. I tell her call in, but she's a little camera shy. She's still listening. So special good morning to you, Jennifer Mohammed. Anthony,
Morning, Jen.
let me get your closing comments.
All right. Well, all I have to say is that Trinidad and Tobago, the ones listening, peppers, non-peppers, just as citizens, you're getting you're being exposed to this video and the videos that the Progressive Empowerment Party puts forward. The point is that the exercise that we are presenting to the public right now is one of information, one that would allow you as a citizen to be able to make better decisions. Unfortunately, we are not in an election footing at this point in time where you can simply vote the present government out and vote us in today for tomorrow. But we will stand the ground and speak on behalf of the people in bringing a level of sanity to you. It's not just for us, and this is not a show. Like Felicia said earlier, we would prefer to be cocked up in we bed, sleeping late. We are able to do that now, be home, but we choose to come out and give you the information and put more stress in our lives only because we want betterment, and that betterment has to transcend itself to you, the people. It is your power. The people is the power is in the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We don't need to be in the position that we're in, and until we as a people can come together and identify ourselves as Trinidad and Tobagonians, then and only then we will be able to forge a country that we all would be proud to be a part of and to say that we are citizens of this twin island.
Very well said, Mr. Anthony Defour. Matthew.
Yes, guys, I agree with you, Anthony. I fully agree. And concerning my thoughts are basically where the government is concerned. Like I made a post just recently. You don't need to believe in your government, you know. You need to believe in yourself and believe in your country. That's what you need to believe in. And I think as a people, we need to support each other and believe in ourselves because we like Vade said on the show last night, we have more than enough intelligent people here to make the necessary decisions for us to move forward as a country, as a nation, financially, and in every form and fashion. We can do this, you know. We can save TNT, but it's not just up to the three of us here. It's up to 1.4 million of us. So you know what? Let's not believe in the government. Let's believe in ourselves. With that being said, also, we need to pressure them for accountability on every cent spent during this COVID experience. Every cent. Thank you, guys.
Most definitely. And I would like to thank these two gentlemen for joining me on the panel this morning. Mr. Matthew Gibbs, thank you for bringing all that you brought to the discussion. It was a pleasure having you on. Anthony Defour, I'm sorry we did not see you live and direct. Please call the internet service provider like I do almost every day and have a very serious because we need to have you up and visible for the rest of the public to see. Even though your picture on the screen is very striking, it's much better when we have you interacting live with us. So get that fixed.
Yeah, definitely.
Anthony's internet service provider, stop messing up. Thank you. And well, we are at the end of our program. I did not get to do this earlier because I actually forgot, but we do have a birthday to celebrate and shout out as part of the PEP family and the birthday club that we try to follow here on the show. It is Tahira Muhammad's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Tahira.
Happy birthday
Tahira
to
is
you.
part Tahira is part of the PEP Youth Arm Tag to the Central team. She will be on the show this Friday with Natalia Moore, who is the chair of our youth arm. Together, they're going to be talking youth affairs and how the economy and economic fallout is impacting the youth, as well as a couple other topics that are geared and centered towards the youth population of Trinidad and Tobago. Did I say Tahira Mohammed? Tahira Mahadio. I apologize. Tahira Mahadio, happy birthday to you, darling. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I know you'd probably have to find a innovative way to celebrate it under the COVID-19, but from me and the rest of your PEP family, we truly wish you a wonderful day today. We are at the end of our program. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for all of the comments on the live videos. Thank you for following the Pep Talks on a Morning. We will be back tomorrow with Michelle Davis, who you have come to know as a regular on the program, as well as a very surprise and special first-time appearance from our party organizer, Miss Shari Wilson. Sharon Wilson, as you may know her. So until tomorrow, Trinidad and Tobago, stay safe. Remember always, and the way we always end the show in this period of social distancing, let us always remember to stay together by staying apart. Bye.